and we're going to have a coffee with the student section. I don't know about you guys, but I haven't really had a chance to grab coffee, so I'm just going to be hydrating with my good old water bottle. Do hydrate, even though you've just been sitting in one place all day, you're still using that water, so that's important. Let's stay healthy. Perfect. All right, it looks like we've got most everybody. David, are you able to turn your camera on? All right. And I know that we have one more member of our leadership team who will hopefully be joining us. Her cousin just graduated from high school, so they're going to a drive-through graduation today. Coronavirus life is challenging, but congratulations to Anjali's cousin. It's a huge accomplishment. Awesome. Okay. All right. So I'm actually going to go ahead and hand it over to David, who will introduce us with a brief history of the student section.
Okay, how's everyone doing? Thank you again for joining us on day 2 of this really, people thought it was an imaginative endeavor. I know that the team that you see before you, each and every one of them are magicians, wizards, and witches in their own light. And I can tell you, I couldn't have done it without them. Each and every one of them are very, very powerful and intelligent individuals, and they've contributed a lot. So I'm really hoping that everyone that's been able to participate, whether you're a professional or veteran or just getting into this space, that you reach out to us. I consistently sit there and say, we are your voice. There's no co-opting of nobody's identity or nobody's in there. We're just here to really propulse your needs and wants, to the highest level of our society. And again, many of us are going through your same situation. I believe in bridging that intergenerational gap, which is why I believe that at the end of the day, representation is everything. One of the things that I could tell you is, so back in, I want to say 2012, yeah, 2012, yeah, that's when I became a SWAT member as an undergrad at FIU. And then through that trajectory, I went to my first meeting. The second meeting, I was not able to go. I missed it. They actually got to go to Oregon, I think, on the second meeting. I missed that one because I was working on my second bachelor's on a thesis project that I couldn't leave during that time. And then I made it to the third one, which was in Rhode Island. And ever since Rhode Island, I haven't missed any of them. I was able to be on the conference board for Puerto Rico during that pesky time when mosquitoes were giving almost everything from dengue to Nile to, yabba dabba doo virus out there. But we had a really successful Puerto Rico meeting, and I think, again, Colorado, Maryland, again, I couldn't push through to Canada this time, but I'm going to make sure that we're definitely out there soon for one reason or another. So in this trajectory, I was the last. So originally, the executive board had a student member to the board of directors. That was something that was built into their standing rules and their constitution. I was, the person before me, funny enough, was a doctoral student at FIU. And we met at a class already after I was offered the position by the president at that time was Jillian Davis. Through that trajectory from Jillian Davis to Arnold, who was the next president in Puerto Rico, we created the student section, right? Because I had a lot of initiatives from a lot of students from around the world that were getting in contact with me either through email, calling me, my number is very public, hitting me up on social media. So, I remember to our first meeting, it was a conference call meeting, and I had dropped about 10 motions in there. I think, we normally have a 3-hour board of directors meeting. I think one of those hours is just dedicated to like the amount of paperwork I gave them to go through. And as you can tell, a lot of this came down through the advice of, hey, that we should definitely have a a student section, you know, and again, the society has affinity sections. So, you know, what's the one thing that brings us all together? The fact that we're students. We're all struggling through the same processes of trying to get a degree, trying to get that paper. And I think that we're a community, and that community isn't just, you know, again, wonderful work to what Clay and Sarah had to say. You know, as leaders within the institutions, I think a grassroots approach is really a place we need to consistently cultivate as students, as leaders, and as good stewards of our community and an environment. So in 2018, we became a student section, and by last year, I was able to get the wonderful team that you see in front of you. This will end up being my last year. So in 2021, by the time that we get to Spokane, I'll be passing it on to Stephanie, who you've been seeing throughout this as the Vanna White of this Wheel of Fortune, and making those turns and switches. And again, we have a lot of work to do. We do have a lot of work to do in front of you. We are going to be talking about many different initiatives and programs that we have. And again, you know, it's been awesome to serve you all and to continue to serve you all. Even when I sign off and I'm the immediate past president, that just means that a lot of the projects that have pins on them, I'm going to be putting in my full attention to them. So again, you know, one more time, this wouldn't have happened, and a lot of the things you're going to be hearing about wouldn't have happened if it wasn't for the crack team that you see in these little windows over here, okay? So I'm going to pass it back to Stephanie. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, David, for that brief history of the student section and how it came to be. And for those of you who joined us on the welcoming remarks, you got a little bit of a glimpse of that as far as what our mission is, which is to promote wetland science, inclusion, and equity for students of all ages and for the public. So we do like to reiterate that even though we are a student section, we welcome early career professionals. We'll always be a home for all of you as you graduate and transition into the workforce. We just recognize that we may not be the best home for you when you have all these other great section options like the wetlands restoration section and wildlife, depending on what you go into. But while we've got you, we do want to make sure that we provide the best support possible. So I'm just sharing our website really quickly, and I'm actually going to go ahead and start a bit of a round robin introduction to our officer team, who you can read more about on our website if you go to studentsofsws.wixsite.com/SOSWS. That link will be in the Slack at some point, I promise you. I know it's long, but you can read more about all of us. And we just heard from David Riera, who is the current chair. I'm Stephanie Munguia. I am the current chair-elect, and I am a PhD student at FIU, and my focus in wetlands is Ramsar. So in no particular order, I'm just going to pass it off to somebody. Let's go ahead and let's hear from John.
All right. Hi, everyone. My name is John Podoliak. I am the education chair member of the committee, and I am a PhD student at the University of Missouri. I study bottomland hardwood forest restoration. So these are forested wetlands that once were found in the Mississippi Alluvial Valley and along the Gulf Coast. Gulf Coastal Plain. So I'm really interested in restoration ecology and wetland birds and amphibians. It's kind of my thing. Yeah, as work on the education chair, I'm working to try to provide a lot more educational materials and perhaps more webinars, things that'll help you guys as students really gain information from us and hopefully become better wetland scientists.
Awesome. Let's go to Josette next.
Hi everyone, I'm Josette McLean. I'm the graduate student representative. I'm currently a first year, well, entering my second year as a master's student at Hampton University. And my thesis is focusing on Pacific lamprey. They're a type of fish found in the western regions like Oregon and Washington, California. And they're an invasive species. So I'm looking at their stomach contents through their DNA to figure out what they're eating and how they're impacting their ecosystems. So as a grad student rep, I work with the other members to try to make sure that our initiatives are focused on students, both undergrads and grads. And we think of things, we brainstorm, we come up with questionnaires, we try to get resources and scholarships so we can get it to you guys, so we can facilitate you in any way that we can. So feel free to reach out to me or anybody else if there's any need that we could meet or anything we can help you guys with. And we're here to serve, and it's been awesome serving alongside these other wonderful officers.
It's an awesome serving alongside you, Gisette. Next up, let's hear from Clay.
No problem. Hey everyone, my name is Clay Tucker. I'm the Student Association Chair for I like SOSWS. I like that. I'm the Student Association Chair. I actually just graduated with my PhD from Louisiana State University in May. I have sort of a unique role in that way. I will continue for the next year. I'm sure we'll eventually talk about how we all got here formally, but I'm in a unique position that I continue to advocate for students, even though I might not formally be one anymore. But my research is in tree ring science, also known as dendrochronology, and I work in wetlands that house big trees. So things like cypress trees, pine trees, mostly coastal or tidal wetlands. But I'm excited to be here, and I'm excited to share or help anybody who might need guidance through student association formation.
And let's go to Nadia.
Hi everyone, I am Nadia Bowles, a recent graduate in forestry from Tuskegee University. I know, so happy. I'm starting a job with the Forest Service in the near future and still looking for graduate programs in the next year. So I am the communications chair and I do everything social media. So my biggest point with that is making sure that students are able to showcase their work without having to pay so much for publications and still get it out to their friends and family.
Awesome. And Nadia is working overtime right now. So major round of applause for you for all the work that you're doing on Twitter and Instagram. If you haven't started playing our social media bingo, do that right away. There are prizes involved, so you don't want to miss that. And now we're going to move into just kind of answering some broader questions about our team and how we got here. So I'm just going to go ahead and stop the screen share. We're going to do a lightning round, which I know is going to be a little bit difficult for some of us, not naming names, but I know I could talk for hours about why we do what we do. But we're going to try to keep it short. All right. So first up, what in your eyes has been the most valuable part of being a member of the student section leadership team? And let's go ahead and hand that over to Clay first.
I'm going to take micro-volunteering right off the table. I'm going to use that forever now. That's my favorite phrase ever. I think the amount of work that we can get done in such a small amount of work individually is probably my favorite part. So micro-volunteering, another plug.
Yes, awesome. All right, Gisette.
My favorite thing has been learning better how to work with a team and how everybody contributes and just being in that team working initiative atmosphere. That's been the best for me.
David?
I'm just going to sit there and say leadership, right? Being able to lead from the front and lead by example. At the end of the day, I don't think anybody on this team has been behind me. I think that as soon as somebody has joined this team, we've been shoulder to shoulder. So definitely leadership has been one of the things that I really love about each and every one of you.
John?
Yeah, I think my favorite part has been the collaboration, and honestly for me, it's been a learning experience of lots of different aspects. So I've presented ideas to folks and other people have bounced those ideas around and made them better. And I think, everything we've produced has been a collaborative team effort. And I really appreciate that. Just as an example, I was in the field work prior to this conference, and everybody really helped me out with making sure everything was scheduled and stuff. So just teamwork and camaraderie for sure.
Yeah, major props for all the lifting that you did while you were out in the field and those late nights when you got back and were probably exhausted and we're still coordinating those amazing student lightning talks. It's
No
awesome.
problem. Yes, they were great talks. So
They were really,
anyone
really great.
still.
All right, and Nadia?
I'm gonna say the same. Being with such a helpful team and having this type of leadership as my first time working on something, I would say this big, you know.
Awesome. And I guess I'll answer that too. It's only right. I think for me has just been getting to see a new model of leadership where we're really doing this peer-to-peer leadership. Like I've been in leadership situations before where I'm working even with people who are supposed to be my peers, but there's lots of egos involved. Someone's always trying to pull out, pull ahead. And I think like David said, we've walked alongside each other this whole way. And that means that any one of us can come to the group with something that needs to be done immediately and we get it done. Just like this past week when we released our statement in solidarity with the Black Lives Matter movement, that was a super quick turnaround. Everybody came back, gave us feedback, and we were able to put that on the web within 24 hours, essentially, of when the initiative was first brought to the table. So that's just a tribute to how amazing our team is. And the next question, how did you get into SWS and how did you join the leadership team? So a two-parter, and we'll take it to John first.
All right, so how did I get into SWS? I had always known that I should have been a part of SWS starting with my master's, but didn't join for various reasons. I think one being monetary values. My master's didn't cover it for me, but other reasons, just at the time I didn't realize how important professional societies were to students. But yeah, so I joined SWS actually a little over a year and a half ago now. Officially, I always followed SWS, but I officially joined. And then I actually, to get on the leadership team, there was an email sent out. Stephanie sent an email to a lot of folks who had expressed interest. I think there was a survey that I filled out, and I expressed interest in being a part of the team. And from there, yeah.
Awesome. Let's hear from Nadia next.
So I got into SWS by being a swamper and participating in all of the swamp events, and I really met a family there. It was one of the best times I've had at a conference. So I really wanted to get involved with the student section after hearing David talk about it so much. So one day I was at an internship and I was like, let me just email him and see if I could, you know, run the social media pages. And it was just like that.
Nice. All right. So since David's name has been invoked, I'll pile on to this just very quickly and say that David was also how I came to SWS in some sense. I was invited as a swamper as well, just like Nadia, and David was actually the mentor that I was assigned. So actually SWS does put a lot of emphasis on peer mentoring. So even though David was still a student, he was the one who kind of showed me the ropes during that first SWS conference. And it was really out of that relationship that this student section idea blossomed and reached fruition. So that's how I came to SWS and essentially, I guess, got grandfathered into the leadership team in that way. So now, David, you may defend your profuse talking.
So, I mean, I already gave you how I came into this. You know, Stephanie's funny because, you know, we always go back and forth on this idea of grandfathering in. I really believe, and you heard a lot of professionals throughout this trajectory, that many of them got introduced to SWS through somebody who was already a card-carrying member of the society. I did not. I was on a web search, as I did when I was a lab manager, getting my first undergraduate degree, and I was on a web search looking for, you know, funding for my potential master's, because as many of you know, getting a master's, as John mentioned, a lot of institutions are taking money away from masters and putting them all into PhD positionings, and there's a bigger issue bigger systemic issue there, but we won't get into that right now. So I was looking for it, and this program, the SWAMP program, which wasn't called the SWAMP program at that time, It was just called the Minority Mentoring Program, came up. Dr. Frank Day out of Old Dominion, he was a previous president, he had created this, and I went, and my first meeting was in Duluth, and that was it. I had a really great mentor there, talked to me about the Great Lakes. I had really great, my first interaction with black rice and knowing how that is cultivated up in the northern Minnesota by the northern Minnesotan tribes. So yeah, I mean, I literally, I always tell everybody, professional, veteran, student, even high school students that have approached me about our work, I tell them all, look, this has been my first professional home, and I'm not planning, to ever leave it. This is it, and I'm glad that everybody on this team has coalesced together. I'm really glad that everybody on this team sees the value and the worth of building this foundation. Because again, I'm going to get my PhD here in the next 2 years, start working full time, and maybe in the next couple of years before I turn 50, run for president of SWS, right? That would make it holistic, right? Full circle, right? But yeah, knowing that everybody that you're seeing here is putting in the time and to create the foundation. Without a foundation, let me tell you something. You could burn the walls, you could burn the roof, but a strong foundation, it can only sink into the ocean, and only when sea level rise happens. All right. So I really applaud each and every one of y'all, for being a part of this and for being a part of the team. I couldn't have asked for a better team.
Awesome. Clay, let's hear from you.
Well, my story starts with David too. My story beginning in SWS is much later than most of y'all's. Duluth. Wow, I didn't know David went all the way back to Duluth, which I think is like 2013 or something. I'm looking at the list. I don't know it by memory, but I almost went to Baltimore. I was very close to going to Baltimore. In fact, I had a ticket almost paid for, and then the money didn't come through. So then, of course, we didn't go to Quebec. But my SWS, getting into SWS was a committee member for my PhD. He had encouraged me. Andy Nyman had encouraged me to go to the Baltimore meeting, and the funding just didn't come through. And eventually, David contacted me, and eventually Stephanie as well. They had seen us on social media. We had reactivated our group, and y'all were forming the student section. Why not have a student association chair too? So yeah, all leads back to David apparently.
It's like all drains lead to the ocean. All avenues here in SWS lead back to David somehow. All right, and Josette?
So for me, Anjali, well, she's not here right now, but she's the treasurer, I think, of our board. She did the SWAMP program the year before, and she told me that I should apply for it and it'd be really cool. And I got into SWAMP, and we were introduced to David and Stephanie, and they were telling us about how they wanted to do a student section. But at the time, I don't think I could have, because I was like a junior in college. And then the next year I returned as a mentor, and that's when I was more able, and I spoke to David and Stephanie more, and they were really excited about it. And then so this year, when it launched, I came on as a grad student representative.
Yes, and I will just very quickly do a quick plug for Anjali since she's not able to join. Anjali is another amazing student leader on our board. She's our secretary and our treasurer, and she also has sat on the leadership team at the Ecological Society of America. You may have heard of them, another big group for us. So we're very, very fortunate to have her. She provides so many amazing contributions, and she's actually the mastermind behind our website. So if you go see that and you like it, major props to Anjali. I do some minor web management, but I would have no idea where to begin. She built that baby. All right. And I just want to do a very quick, y'all, 3 words maximum. It's going to be hard. Okay. What are you most excited for in the remaining time of your service? I will start. Realigning the strategic plan. Next, let's go to Clay.
Well, that was 4 words, but I'm just kidding.
That is like a connector. I mean, that doesn't even count.
Connecting with others.
Elegant. I like that. All right, Nadia.
Highlighting more student work.
Awesome. For the record, if you want to have your work highlighted, you can go to our website. There's a social media submission form. So do that so that Nadia doesn't have to chase you all down. Come find us and we will elevate you in every way possible. John.
3 words. Providing educational opportunities.
Nice. David.
This is hard.
Those are your 3. I'm sorry. It's over.
Yeah, no, I don't got 3 words. That's not going to happen. Look, at the end of the day, in the rest of my service, making sure that everyone on this team is better than they were yesterday. That's it. Holding our team accountable. Holding our team. 4 words. There you go.
We got there eventually. That was good. Josette, how about you?
I think for me, it's making greater impact. Those are my 3 words.
I like that. We may have to throw that into the strategic plan. That sounds good. Awesome. All right. So now that everybody on here has gotten a little bit of insight into us and probably a little bit into the banter that's pretty common to our meetings, we have fun. We have lots of fun together. So because of that, we'd like to invite you all to join in on the party and join in on the fun in whatever capacity you think is, most suitable for your time constraints. Like everybody's already mentioned, we're all super busy. We're all students. Most of us wear multiple leadership hats. You already saw Clay talk about all the work that they're doing at LSU with their student association. So you can imagine if everybody on our team works half as hard as Clay in their free time, we're all pretty much not sleeping. Just kidding. We do get some sleep, but we do want to invite you to be sleep deprived and also making greater impact with us. So some opportunities that I wanted to highlight that are coming up within our leadership team. We do have a delegate program, which the application is open for right now, and applications will be open until July 1st. I'm going to just try to open up that web page and show it to you. So one of our key goals within the student section is really to do everything that we can to continue to increase student engagement in the Society of Wetland Scientists. So the delegate program is one of the ideas that kind of stemmed from this. And the goal is to bring students like you into a leadership capacity, possibly in something similar to micro-volunteering, as we are co-opting from the Women in Wetlands section. So there's a listing of different opportunities, of things that you would be expected to do during your 1 year of service. And this is a really great stepping stone to familiarize yourself with sort of governance structure within the student section and within the society at large, and to really get networking with other professionals and get them to see you in a leadership capacity. I think very often as students in a society, we don't have as many opportunities to step up in those roles or to be perceived as candidates for those roles. So we're hoping that these kinds of initiatives are going to really help improve that and really change, I think, the overall face of the society and the work that we're able to do. The next opportunity that I'd like to share with y'all are officer positions that are hopefully loading. It's being a little bit slow. So we do have quite a few members on our leadership team, but we do definitely have room for way more, mostly because a lot of the people on here, like Nadia's communications chair, John is education chair, Clay, student associations chair, raise your hand if you would love to have a buddy to help you do more work with your committee. Absolutely. So all of those committee members are open positions. You're welcome to apply for them. Our formal application period will begin in the fall. For all of those, they'll open up on October 1st and would begin next spring. So around the time that we will hopefully be in Spokane. but that doesn't mean that you can't get involved sooner. If you're interested and you want to sort of come into the process a little bit sooner, we'd love to have you. One open position on our e-board is the undergraduate representative, which would be working very closely with Josette to round out our undergraduate outreach. So if you are interested in that, please do send me an email and we can see about some sort of interim positions as well. And then you could go through the formal application and election process in the fall when those positions open. And another e-board position, as David mentioned, he's going to be cycling into the position of immediate past chair. Next summer, I'll be stepping up into the chair position, which means chair-elect will be empty. So if you want to be roped into being the Vanna White of a virtual conference, this might be the job for you. We do a little bit of everything. I'll be publishing a blog post later on through our newsletter and on our website, which is another one of our communications initiatives that will outline what I've done as chair-elect and why it's the perfect position for you, even if you don't think it might be. I know, David, if you might want to maybe build a little bit on your experience as chair, because it's a 3-year commitment. You come on as chair-elect, then you move up into the chair position, and then you'll become the immediate past chair. So I guess you having kind of gone through the whole process, what kind of reflections or advice might you have?
I can tell you that at the end of the day, it's been a commitment, right? And determination. And you're not going to be this. My original mentor in the community college told me that people don't have to be friends to work together. If we're friends, it makes it better, but it doesn't mean that we're not going to get the work done, right? And so many times my methods throughout this thing has been the same way that I've lived my life. Shock and awe with just commitment, tireless, hard-working commitment. Because, as Stephanie mentioned, all of you are going their pathway in your communities, in your neighborhoods, in your institutions, This is something that I saw as clearing a pathway, but at the same time, as many of us now, since we've been home, if we go to our parks, we've seen how those pathways have just grown overnight. The reason why I've been in this position and will continue to be an advocate even when I become the president of SWS, hopefully one day, is because it's important for the next generation to have a pathway. It may not always be clear, but to know that that doorway is open. And so with those words, I hope that you understand the level of commitment, that I put into this, the level of work. I mess with Stephanie a lot and many people on this board, and I tell them I'm an idea person, and that's because just like Walt Disney, I've never stopped dreaming, and I'm really just glad that when you surround yourself with intelligent, hardworking people that believe in a vision and a shared vision, that it can work. And this team, this conference, and me as an individual really has grown from this team, has grown from this experience, and will continue. And so keep that in mind when you come for this chair position, because this chair already is being built on the shoulders of giants. So that's not trying to be belligerent against hobbits and stuff like that. If you are a hobbit and want the chair position, we'll build stairs. But that's what I got to say right now.
Hey, just will not avoid any opportunity to make fun of my height. I see you. There's a photo of us at my first SWS meeting, standing next to each other, the standard mentor-student picture, and I am a full, maybe foot shorter. Yeah, it's pretty bad. And David's an average height person, so just, that's fine. We have fun. So I wanted to kind of, on a more serious note, I mentioned that the thing I'm most looking forward to in the rest of my service is realigning our strategic plan. Our strategic planning is not something that's normally done in a section, but we take our section pretty seriously. So we wanted to make sure that we had everything and all the tools in place possible so that anybody who comes into these positions after us knows exactly what our core values are and what goals we're working towards. Because as Clay mentioned in the student associations talk, there's a lot of turnover with students. We graduate, we move on, lives get busy, but we don't want that to be to the detriment of all of our student members in the society. So with that, one of the things that we recently announced when we put out our statement regarding Black Lives Matter and the state violence against Black people in America and really across the world, all racial violence, calling for an end to that, we did say that we're going to be realigning our strategic plan to more accurately reflect our core values of equity, diversity, inclusion, and justice for everybody. So please stay tuned for those updates. We may be sending out an email at some point for comments and feedback on what we develop, and Anjali will be working very closely with us on that one as well, since she drafted our original strategic plan. But you know, we are a really adaptive team, and I think everybody on here can state at least one example of a time where we thought we were pulling in one direction and we realized, you know what, something else has to happen, and we adjusted and made it happen. And I think that's really one of the greatest values about the leadership that we've brought together. So I don't want to keep talking and monopolizing the time. There's obviously lots of opportunities to get involved with the student section. If you're not receiving our newsletter yet, please go to our website and subscribe on the website, and you'll get a link to receive our monthly newsletter. There's tons of great content in there. Every month there's a blog that's posted. Josette just wrote an amazing blog about her first year of grad school and how to get through it. So please go and get engaged, get as involved as possible. I know it's been an extremely valuable experience for me. So I want to wrap up this call very quickly, just so we have enough space for questions, but we'll stop talking for a little bit and just ask everybody on the leadership team to come up with one ask, one thing you would ask of the people who are on this call going forward. What would you like to see them do? And we'll start with John.
So I guess I would just ask for folks to get involved and really do what they can to help out the section, because you know we benefit and ultimately you all benefit as members. So you know, when we send out surveys or stuff for questions, you know, we really truly are trying to take into account what you guys are asking. So that stuff helps benefit us for sure. So
Awesome. Nadia, what would you like people to do?
Don't be shy in sending in your wonderful research or anything you would like us to know in your world of wetland research. Please send it to me. I will be posting the link for submission content on Instagram and Twitter and Facebook. So you guys, please let us help you.
And I will note also to that point, to Nadia's point there, we are going to be starting a new initiative called #Black in Wetlands and #POC in Wetlands, where we'll be featuring different Black and people of color who work in the wetlands field. And that includes students, professionals, all of our old timers. No offense, you've just been around for a while and you know a whole lot more than most of us. So we want to recognize that and celebrate that as well. So if you are a Black person or a person of color and you would like to be featured in that, please do get in touch with us. We want to be able to increase your visibility in wetland sciences, and currently it's just really hard sometimes to find people because we're kind of a diffuse group of people with lots of different interests. So get in touch with us through our form, contact Nadia. She's the one who handles our DMs on all those social media platforms. Let her know that you want to be featured and we'll get you on there. Next up, let's go to Clay.
Yeah, I think my call to action is if someone asks you to help, that you say yes. And I don't think that just means for the 7 of us. I think the 7 of us, that's what happened, or at least 6 of us to David. Someone asked us to help and we said yes. And without that, this group wouldn't happen. Without that, my student association at Louisiana State University wouldn't happen. If someone asks you for help in the field, if someone asks you for help to be on a board, if someone asks you to help them cook their dinner tonight, try to say yes. That's my call to action.
All right, Josette.
And following up on what Clay said, like as students especially, it can be easy to feel as, not to feel, but we really do have a lot of responsibilities. So it might be easy to be like, oh, I don't think I have time for that, or I don't want to commit to something that I won't be able to follow through with. So I think my call to action would just be check out the website. Just take time and read it. Don't commit, but just actually read it and be like, oh, this is not better. Just see for yourselves. Don't just listen to our words, but actually check out the website. So that's my call to action.
All right, David.
So I'm gonna echo what Clay said. You know, at the end of the day, you know, this leadership team and all the students that have come to us are change agents. Whether you're change agents at within your four walls at home, in your institution, in your lab, or you're a change agent globally. I think that each one of us represents a drop in the ocean, but every time that you know, every time it rains, we create ripples, right? So definitely, yeah. And I'm glad that Clay had mentioned the seven of us, because as soon as he mentioned that, I instantly remember the movie The Magnificent Seven, which is an old Western that got revitalized maybe a couple of years ago. And yeah, so thanks, Clay, because now, no matter what, in my head, I'm gonna be telling the story. You know, when they passed the spoon to me in years, that I had the opportunity to work with the Magnificent Seven, including myself.
I love that. I love that. And I'd also like to reiterate that this isn't a full-time job for any of us. Y'all can all do this. Everybody on this call can do this.
Yep.
Yes, absolutely. And I guess I'll round it off with my ask, which is to always, always support each other. Support your fellow students, support your lab mates, support your professors, your advisors, all those people who add value and happiness to your life. Support them. We're living in a time where far too many people are trying to tear each other apart, and that's just bad for everybody. So please be a good human, be a decent person, and if one of the ways that you choose to manifest that is by joining our leadership team, we'll be happy to have you. So that was just a quick introduction to our students section. We really welcome you to be in touch with us, stay engaged, and hopefully we'll be working with you more closely in the near future.